Okay, so good afternoon to all. So in today's class I will first discuss some MCQs, and dependent upon whatever I have taught in the last class, and along with I will discuss some theory, and I have some lecture notes to share with you. Okay, so without a delay, let's move further. So what is the question? First question. See, the first question is whether the function fx equal to x की power 1 by 3 is differentiable at x equals to 0 or not differentiable at x equals to 0. So the answer, so you have to think fast. So how do you proceed? So it is very simple. We will proceed by just utilizing the definition of derivative. So what is the definition of derivative in the limiting case? Fx equal to x की power 1 by 3. Now limit delta x tends to 0, f of 0 plus delta x minus f0 divided by delta x. So this is actually the limit derivative definition of derivatives in the limiting sense. So what does it say? It say that the increment, because we have to determine the differentiability or check the differentiability at the point x equals to 0. So what we have done here, we have taken f of 0 plus delta x. Okay, so why f of 0 plus delta x? Because we are interested to check derivative, whether the derivative exists at the point 0 or not, right? So that's why we have kept it to be 0 plus, and this delta x is nothing but the increment in the x direction. So limit delta x tends to 0, this is equal to f of 0 plus delta x minus f of 0 divided by delta x. This is equal to limit delta x tends to 0. So what is f of 0 plus delta x? F of 0 plus delta x is f of delta x. So how to determine f of delta x? You just put delta x instead of x in the definition of fx equal to x की power 1 by 3. So you just put delta x की power 1 by 3 minus 0 divided by delta x. Now just use the basic concept of powers. So delta x की power 1 by 3 divided by delta x. So delta x, it means that delta x की power 1. Okay, since in the denominator you have delta x, that means delta x की power 1. So delta x की power 1 by 3 divided by delta x is actually delta x की power minus 2 by 3. And as delta x tends to 0, this delta x minus 2 by 3, this actually approaches to infinity. So what does it mean? That means that the limit of this function is not exist, right? The limit of this function does not exist as delta x tends to 0, it approaches to infinity. So that's why the function is not differentiable at x equals to 0. So this is a like very basic example, and it is actually a function of checking differentiability, function of one variable, right? Next, move to function of two variables. The value of delta y and dy for the function y equal to 2x square minus 3x plus 1 at x equals to 1 respectively are. So first of all, you need to determine what is delta y. So delta y means f of 1 plus delta x minus f dash minus fx, right? This delta y function is actually the increment. And what is dy? The dy is f prime x dx. Okay, and you know if you are to determine the differentiability of the function in two variable case, then what you will do, you will just put delta y minus dy and check that whether this tends to 0 or not. there is a formula that delta y minus dy that can be written like a into h plus b into k plus epsilon h into epsilon 1 hk plus k into epsilon 2 hk, and this epsilon 1 epsilon 2 that tends to 0 and hk tends to 0. A and b are actually the, if you determine, you will get that to be partial derivatives, right? So y equal to 2x square minus 3x plus 1. So how to proceed now? So y equal to fx equal to 2x square minus 3x plus 1. So how to take the derivative f prime x? How to take derivative? So f prime x, you know how to take derivative, just ddx, do ddx. So that you will get d of 2x ddx of 2x square minus 3x plus 1. So that is 4x minus 3, right? And now what is your delta y? Your delta y is x plus f of x plus delta x. Okay, now you check for delta x equal to 0.1. So if you check for delta x equal to 0.1, you will get delta y equal to f of x plus delta x minus fx. So delta y equal to f of 1 plus 0.1 minus f of 1, and if you calculate it, you will get 0.12. And what is dy? Dy is f prime x dx, and how to determine it? Dy equal to 0.1 into f prime 1. Just put x equal to 1 and delta x equal to 0.1. So that is how what you are getting for delta x equal to 0.1, you are getting delta y to be 0.12, and for delta x equal to 0.1, you are getting dy equal to 0.1. So which one is correct? The first one is correct, right? So for delta 1 case, the first one is correct. Now proceed for delta x equal to 0.2. So how to prove delta x equal to, for delta x equal to 0.2? How to do it? Very simple. For delta x equal to 0.2, how to do? Very simple one. See, same procedure. Delta y equal to f of y plus 0.2 minus f of 1, because here we have taken delta x to be 0.2. So delta y equal to f of 1 plus 0.2 minus f of 1. Now f of 1 plus 0.2 means f of 1.2. So f of 1.2, you just need to put x equal to 1.2 in this expression. X equal to 1.2 in this expression. If you put this f of f equal to 1.2 minus f of 1, minus f of 1 means just put here 1. So f of 1 will be 2 into 1 square, that means 2 minus 3 plus 1, that is f of 1 is equal to 0. And f of 1.2 equal to 2 into 1.2 whole square minus 3 into 1.2 plus 1. So if you just utilize it, you will get delta y to be 0.28. Once you get delta y, next your objective is to determine dy. So what is the dy? Dy expression is same, delta x into f prime x. Now f prime here x equal to 1 and delta x equal to 0.2, so 0.2 into f prime 1 equal to 0.2. Okay, so that is actually the case. Now sorry, so what is the answer? The answer is D, this one, 0.28 and 0.2 when delta x equal to 0.2, right? Okay, next move to the next problem. Next we are to determine the total differential of the function z equal to x square y minus x square minus y cube at the point 4, 5 for delta x equal to 0.01. The total differential of the function z equal to x square y minus x square minus y cube at the point 4, 5 for delta x equal to 0.01. So what is delta y? Delta y equal to 0.001. Now z equal to, here see, here it is a function of two variables. So how to determine the total differential? The total differential dz, we will determine the expression is dou f dou x plus into delta x plus dou z dou y into delta y, right? Okay, so how to determine it? So total differential equation, so dz equal to dou z dou x dx dou z dy dy, and this increments are actually given as del sorry, here this symbol you should use dx equal to 0.01, right? So if you use this here, what notation? Yes, you should use d. Okay, cool, no problem. This delta y, this if you used to put here dx, this should be like dy. Okay, so dz equal to x square y minus x square minus y cube. So the total differential will be dz equal to dou z dou x into dx plus dou z dou y into dy. So how to determine the first partial derivatives? So how to prove this z equal to x square minus x square y minus y cube? So del z del x. So what is del z del x? Del z del x is 2xy minus 2x into dx. 2xy minus 2x into dx. And here del z del y is x square minus 3y square del y. So hence total differential at the point 45 as delta x equal to 0.01, delta y equal to 0.001. So what it will give? It will give 4 into 5. So here you will get 2 into 4 into 5. So 20 minus 2 into 4, that will be 8. So that will be 20 minus 8 will be 12. And then you use multiply with 0.01, and similarly here also you multiply x square is 4 square minus 3 into 5 square into 0.001, and you need to do careful calculation. Please don't do mistake. I request all of you to please check whatever I discuss in the class. Don't take it as taken for granted, because these questions are like there may be some human error while solving these problems. So please be careful, and please cross check also the solutions. I will upload the note, there is no tension about, but please cross check the solutions. I always say these things. Okay, so this dz we have determined. Okay, so now the next class, next question. Consider the following two statements for a function z equal to fxy. F is differentiable at a point xy, f is continuous, and both fx fy exist. Then P implies Q, but Q does not imply भैया अब मैं ना ऑनलाइन में क्लास दे रहा हूँ, आप थोड़ा सा उस हॉस्टल के सामने आ सकते हो? मेरा सन नहीं, मेन गेट के बाहर तो आ सकते हो आप हॉस्टल के। ठीक है भैया, फिर मैं यूटिलिटी आ जाता हूँ। Okay, sorry. Okay, so now consider the following two statements for a situation or for a function z equal to f of xy. P statement P is differentiable at a point xy, and Q is f is continuous and both fx fy exist. So the correct answer is A. Why? Because f is differentiable at a point, it will automatically imply that f is continuous and both fxy fy exist. But the reverse is not true. Why? Because for differentiability, this fx continuity of f and the existence of fx and fy, they are actually necessary conditions. So along with these conditions, something extra need to be proven so that we can say that f is differentiable at a point. So this does not imply P. Okay, so the answer is A. Now choose the correct options for the function fxy equal to x minus y whole square sin 1 by x minus y if x not equals to y, and excuse me, this is 0 if x equals to y. So what to prove? First carefully examine that what are the things that are given in this 5A, 5B, 5CD. So what is first 5A? So 5A tells that f is continuous at 0, 0. What is B tells? B tells fx and fy are continuous at 0, 0. C, f is not continuous at 0, 0. fx, fy are not continuous at 0, 0. Now, so how to determine? So first you need to determine that continuity of f at 0, 0. How to prove it? Very simple. So just you need to show that limit xy tends to 0, 0 fxy, that actually tends to 0 as xy tends to 0, 0 as the xy tends to 0, 0 as this fxy should tend to 0. Now here you can directly also prove that sine of 1 by x minus y is a bounded function. Okay, so now x minus y whole square, that is actually tends to 0 as x and y tends to 0, so that's why the function is continuous. Otherwise you can also prove via limit xy tends to 0, 0 x minus y into sine of 1 by x minus y by 1 minus 1 by x minus y, this is equals to 0. So that means it is continuous. So पहले ही C this c cancels out, right? So now we need to check the continuity of fx fy at 0 0. So how to check? Fx fy, first determine fx 0 0 and fx not 0 0. So fx 0 0 is limit x tends to 0, delta x tends to 0, f of delta x comma 0 minus f 0 0 divided by delta x. So this is actually limit delta x tends to 0 into delta x into sine 1 by delta x. This is actually once again 0. And similarly for delta fy equal to 0 0. Further for x not equals to y, you just take derivative. So there is no problem now while doing derivative. So fx xy equal to 2 into x minus y into sine 1 by x minus y minus cos of 1 by x minus y, and fy of xy equal to minus 2 x minus y sine of 1 by x minus y plus cos into 1 by x minus y along. So this is this problem. So now fy xy equal to along x axis. Now fy xy, this is the derivative of this function with respect to y. Now you simply limit x tends to 0. So now you just taking along x axis, so you are just putting what to put, and so just take x tends to 0. So along x axis y equal to 0, you put y equal to 0, so that becomes 2x into sine 1 by x minus cos 1 by x, and that limit does not exist. Similarly, you can prove fy is not continuous at 0 0. So this is correct. Fx and fy are not continuous at 0 0. So f is continuous, we have continuity of f, we have already proven, and the discontinuity of the fx and fy at the point 0 0 we currently we just now proved. Okay. Next we move to this problem. Which of the following statements are incorrect for the function f of xy equal to second bracket x cube minus x cube in the xy square in the numerator divided by x square into plus y square, where xy not equals to 0 0 and xy equals to 0 0. So f is not, we have to prove that f is not continuous at 0 0. F is continuous at 0 0, f is differentiable at 0 0, f is not differentiable at 0 0. So which are actually incorrect. So this is actually in the rational function. In the denominator also you have a polynomial, and in the numerator also you have a polynomial. So how to prove? You just use the anyone please can you, those who have joined, can you tell me that how to proceed it for continuity? Okay, so for continuity we need to just utilize the polar coordinate, right? So how to prove polar coordinate? So we will just put x equal to r cosine theta So you will just utilize x equal to r cos theta and y equal to r sin theta. So just you put x equal to r cos theta and y equal to r sin theta. So how to prove? So we have proven we have put x equal to r cos theta and y equal to r sin theta. So now in the numerator part, r cube cos cube theta minus r cos theta into r sin theta whole square, and here x square plus y square, that means r square. So r square will cancel 1r, so that is limit r tends to 0, r cos cube theta minus sin square theta cos theta equal to 0. Hence f is not continuous at 0 0. So existence of partial derivatives, existence of partial derivatives fx 0 0 equal to limit delta x tends to 0, f delta x 0 minus f 0 0 by delta x. So if you just put here, so you gonna get delta x whole cube divided by delta x whole square into delta x, so that will give you delta x whole cube by delta x whole square, because y is 0, the y component is 0, and f of 0 0 is actually given 0, so you will get it to be 1. Similarly, if you just use the definition of partial derivative, then what you will get? Fy 0 0 as limit delta y tends to 0, f of 0 comma delta y minus f 0 0 divided by delta y, this is equals to 0. That means the partial derivative at the point 0 0 with respect to y is actually 0. Now we need to check the derivative differentiability condition. So what is the differentiability condition? The differentiability condition is you need to show the difference between increment and total derivative divided by delta rho. Delta rho means square root of delta x square plus square root plus delta y whole square. This term actually converges to 0, right? So f of delta x delta y, you put f of delta x delta y, then you put the minus f 0 0 minus delta x fx, this is actually delta x, so minus delta x fx 0 0, so delta x fx 0 0 is actually fx 0 0 is 1. So here we have actually done the computation, because here if you just put, you will get in the denominator part, you will get delta. If you put f of delta x delta y, so what you will get? F of delta x delta y will be, what will be f of delta x delta y? F of delta x delta y will be delta x whole cube minus delta x delta y square by delta y x square plus delta y square. Now if you put it here, you need to addition subtraction of fractions, so that's why there is this part is actually multiplied. You just write the expressions, you will easily can solve this problem, because this delta y and fy 0 0 is 0. So now what we get? We get minus 2 delta x into delta y whole square, delta x delta y 0 0, delta x whole square plus delta y whole square to power 3 by 2. So minus 2 limit cos theta into sin square theta. If you just put delta x equal to now rho, you can take r cos theta or r sin theta, but you can also take any other notation, because we have already taken rho and theta, r and theta. So you can just use rho cosine phi and rho sin phi, there is no problem. Now what is happening here? Here this limit is actually depending upon theta, so this does not converge to 0 actually. So that's why it is not at a differentiable at 0 0. Next problem. So is this problem clear? So this problem is actually first, it is actually a pretty tough problem. So we have, so what are the correct options? F is incorrect options. F is not continuous at 0 0, because we have proven that f is continuous, and the incorrect one is C, f is differentiable at 0 0, right? So f is not continuous at 0 0, f is continuous at 0 0. So these are actually b, a and c are actually the options, because they are actually the incorrect statements. Next we will prove the function d satisfies both necessary and sufficient condition of differentiability. The given statement is true or false. So what is the necessary condition of this differentiability? Necessary condition of differentiability that the function is continuous and first order partial derivatives exist, right? So that is the necessary condition. So first how to prove it? Simply use polar coordinates. This you use x equal to r cos theta, y equal to r sin theta. In the numerator part you gonna have r square, in the numerator part you gonna have r to the power 4 cos square theta sin square theta. In the denominator part you gonna have r square, so r ki power 4 cos square theta sin square theta by r square, that gonna give you r square cos square theta sin square theta. Now if r tends to 0, then this will actually converge to 0, which is actually f of 0 0. So hence f is continuous at 0 0. Now the next part, fx 0 0 equal to limit delta x tends to 0, f of delta x comma 0 minus f 0 0 by delta x. So what is our objective next? To determine the whether the partial derivatives exist or not, right? So partial derivatives, it is actually existing. And also the partial derivative fy 0 0 is also exist, because see what happens, that if you have multiplicity in the numerator of higher order and you are multiplying some higher order zeros, so they may cancel by, like some zeros may cancel, like for example in the numerator part you have x minus 5 x ki power 4, and the denominator you have only x, so you can only cut 1x, so you will still remain with x square, right? Sorry, x cube. Now as x approaches to 0, x cube always approaches to 0. So for this type of problems you wanna always get the limiting value. So here is the same thing actually happening, because in the denominator, here if you put polar you will have r square, but here you will have r ki power 4. So continuity is also achieved. Now partial derivative existence you have also shown, the necessary conditions satisfied. Now the sufficient condition is the one partial derivative exists and the other actually continuous. So you can simply determine fx xy, so where only problematic point is xy when xy equal to 0 0, and that we have actually determined using the definition. Now the rest of the differentiation you can actually do when there is no x y are not 0 0. How to do? See, x square y square by x square plus y square. So how to first take derivative? So that will be 2, you need del f del x, right? How to del f del x? So 2x into y square by x square plus y square minus x square into y square into 2x divided by x square plus y square whole square. So if you simply do some algebraic manipulations, you gonna have calculation, you gonna have fx xy to be 2x y ki power 4 by x square plus y square. Now you need to check the continuity of this. Once again, use whenever you have this type of things, you just use polar coordinates and use x equal to r cos theta, y equal to r sin theta. You put them up. So if you just put them up, so limit r tends to 0, 2r cos theta sin 4 theta, this is equals to 0, equal to fx 0 0. Therefore fx continuous at 0 0. Hence f is differentiable at 0 0. So the given statement is true, because it satisfies both necessary and sufficient conditions of differentiability. Next problem. Which of the following are true for the function fxy equal to x square minus y square by x square plus y square when xy not equals to 0 and xy equals to 0? fxy equal to x square minus y square by x square plus y square. So first you need to determine the first order partial derivatives. So what are the first order partial derivatives? The first order partial derivatives are f of delta x comma 0 minus f00 by delta x. So limit delta x tends to 0, it will give you 1 by delta x. This tends to infinity. So fx00 does not exist. Fx00 does not exist. X square minus y square. So fx00, so the first statement is actually wrong. And the continuity you can actually prove, just put a y equal to mx. If you put y equal to mx, then you can prove that it is not continuous. Now f is differentiable at 0 0. F is not continuous at 0 0, so how it gonna be differentiable? So C option is also false. Now here we have proved using polar coordinate. We can also use, just put y equal to mx. F is not differentiable at 0 0. How to prove f is not differentiable at 0 0? No need actually, because f is not continuous at 0 0, so f is not differentiable at 0 0. F is not even satisfying the necessary conditions of differentiability, which implies f is not differentiable at 0 0. What is the necessary condition of differentiability? Continuity and existence of partial derivatives. Next, we need to determine df dt of the function fxy x cos y plus e की power x sin y, where x t equal to t square plus 1, y t equal to t cube plus t at 1 0. The df dt of the function fxy equal to x cos y plus e की power x sin y, where x t equal to t square plus 1 and y t equal to t cube plus t at 1 comma 0 is 1 square 0 e. So I am just giving you one hint. I hope that you can do it. So I am giving 2 to 3 minutes just solve the problem. So how to use? So how to solve this problem? Just put x equal to t square plus 1 and y equal to t cube plus t. Now, okay, so how to solve this problem? You just put x equal to t square plus 1 and y equal to t cube plus t. So the problem will be like fxy. If you put x equal to t square plus 1 and y equal to t cube plus t, then this function of two variables will reduce into function of one variable. So fxy will be yes, oh sorry, they have actually used chain rule. So how to use? So total derivative df dt equal to del f del x dx dt plus del f del y dy dt. So del f del x, you take del f del x. Del f del x is cos y plus e की power x sin y, and dx dt equal to 2t. Del f del y equal to minus x sin y plus e की power x cos y into dy dt equal to 3t square plus 1. Now when t equal to 0, when t equal to 0, what is the value of x? T equal to 0, x is equal to 1, and when t equal to 0, this is equal to 0. That's why you have taken at y 0. So when t equal to 0, we get x equals to 1 and y equals to 0. So at t equals to 0, df dt equal to 1 plus e की power 0. So this is 1 0. 2t is equal to here 0 plus, so that is ultimately will give you e. So this is actually the first 1 equal to e. So this is a, so t equals to 0, we get x equals to 1 and y equals to 0. So at t equals to 0, df dt equal to 1 plus e point 0. So this is actually e. Now next move for the second function. Last problem, last MCQ of today's class. Next I will discuss some theories. So the function fxy equal to x square y square plus xy cube plus x square y plus x cube y is not a homogeneous function. A homogeneous function of order -1 and a homogeneous function of order 0, a homogeneous function of order 2. So how to prove it? So if fxy is a homogeneous function of order n, then f of tx comma ty, that can be written as t की power n fx comma y. Okay, so see, fxy is x square into y square plus xy cube plus x square y plus x cube y. So you put f of tx comma ty. So if you put f of tx comma ty, so that will give you t square x square into t square y square plus tx into t cube y cube plus t square x square into ty plus t cube x cube into ty. Now you take t cube common, and what is happening here? Here tx square y square plus tx y cube plus x square y plus tx cube y, there is still some t remaining. So that means you are not still getting a, you are still not getting a you are still not getting a t की power n into fxy sort of thing. So that means fxy is not a homogeneous function in xy, as it cannot be written as f of tx comma ty t की power n fxy for any n. Okay, next, so I have discussed the week 4 MCQs. Okay, so next I will discuss some theorems. So today's theory part I will discuss. So first is Taylor's theorem for a function of single variables. So Taylor's theorem function of single variables, what it is calling, that assume that function f has all derivatives up to order n plus 1 in some interval containing the point x equal to x naught. Then what is Taylor's theorem? Taylor's theorem for a function of single variable tells that f of x0 plus h equal to f of x0 plus h f of naught x0 plus h square by factorial 2 f double prime x naught plus and so on h की power n factorial fn x0 plus rn. This rn is actually h की power n plus 1 by n plus 1 factorial fn plus 1 xi x0 less than xi less than x, right? So next problem is, so I will move to the next problem. Taylor's theorem for a function of two variables. So how to generalize the Taylor's theorem for a function of two variables? Okay, so this is just let a function be defined in some domain D in R square and have continuous partial derivatives up to n plus 1th order in some neighborhood of a point p x naught y naught in D. Then f of x0 plus h plus y0 plus k, this can be written as f of x0 y0 plus h del del x plus k del del y fx naught y0 plus 1 by factorial 2 h del del x plus k del del y whole square fx naught y0 plus and so on plus 1 by factorial n h del del x plus k del del y to the power n fx naught y0 plus rn, and this rn is actually remainder term after n plus 1th term, and that is actually 1 by n plus 1 whole factorial h dot x plus k dot y n plus 1 fx0 plus theta h plus y0 plus theta k. So here this sort of notation we can use only when the mixed partial derivatives actually exist and equal, and that is actually guaranteed by continuous partial derivatives up to n plus n order. This statement. So this is the generalization of the Taylor's theorem. Next the general case. So you can also alternatively write this this is the general case, or also you can alternatively write the h as x minus x naught, that is the difference between the variable x and the point at which you are trying to determine the Taylor thing. So this is y minus y naught del del by fx naught y naught plus 1 by n plus 1 factorial plus x minus x naught del del x plus x minus x naught del del y fx naught plus theta x minus x naught into y naught plus theta y minus y naught. Next, so this is actually our Taylor's theorem. Now how Taylor's theorem is useful? So Taylor's theorem is useful to determine. Now we will like move into some different aspect, that is called maximum and minimum. You see this function, these 2 points, this point and this point, they are actually the local maximum points, right? This point and this point, they are actually local maximum points. This point and this point, they are actually the local maximum points, and this is actually the local minimum point. These are the local maximum and these are the local, this is actually the local minimum point. Now a function z equal to, for a function of single variable we all know how to determine. Here we will learn how to determine for function of 2 variables. A function z equal to fxy has a maximum or a minimum at the point x0 y0 if at every point in a neighborhood of x0 y0 the function assumes a smaller value or a larger value than at the point itself. So maximum and minimum values together are called extreme values. So these 3 we can clearly see that actually representing the extreme values. Absolute or global maximum minima. For example, fxy equal to x square plus 2ay square, x square plus y square is less than or equal to 1. So the smallest and largest values obtained by a function over entire domain including the boundary of the domain are called absolute or global minimum or absolute or global maximum respectively. So in this shape, this is actually this shape looks like a bit what can I say, this looks actually like a so it looks like a cauldron or pot, right? And the local minimum, global minimum is actually here. Because from wherever you can start, if you drop a marble here, it will come back to here, right? So this is actually so the global minimum exists at the point 0 0, right? Next, critical point and saddle points. The point x0 y0 is called critical point or stationary point if fx comma x0 y0 equal to 0 and fy x0 y0 equal to 0, and a critical point where the function has no minimum or maximum is called a saddle point. That means see here, so this is the function, here they are maximum, here they are minimum, but this point is actually saddle point, right? Because you drop from here, from this line you gonna fall to here. If you drop here, you gonna fall from here, but you can also slip from here to here, right? So these stationary points where fx, if you just slightly perturb the ball, it will fall here or here. So this is actually, it has stable manifold as well as unstable manifold. So that's why this is actually called a saddle point. Necessary conditions for a function to have extremum. Let fxy be continuous and have first order partial derivatives at a point PAB. The necessary conditions for the existence of an extreme value of each at the point P are okay, fx AB equals to 0 and fy AB equals to 0, or if the point PAB is relative extremum of the function fxy, then PAB is also called a critical point of fxy. So this is actually our requirement formula. Whenever we give this problem, you wanna get this to be this. Now next move, necessary condition for a function to have extremum. So necessary condition to have an extremum, so this is a point of neighborhood. P will be a point of maximum if for any sufficiently small h comma k this is things is get less than 0, and point of minimum if this is greater than 0. So this is just the definition. Here we have not written some technical terms. This is just the definition actually. Next, you can actually determine Coulomb-Taylor series theorem. You just take up to second order term, okay, and then there will be higher order terms. So we have just expanded it, the Taylor series. So if you just extend the Taylor series, hfx ab plus kfy ab, half of h square fx x plus 2hk fxy k square fyy. So this is actually called the Hessian matrix. This is called the Hessian matrix. So now with this delta f, this increment will depend upon the sign of hfx ab plus k into fy ab. Now for stationary points, this gonna be vanish, for this gonna be equals to 0. So the sign of delta f, delta f, so if you just take h tends to 0 0, h tends to 0, so delta f is actually a k. So note that the sign of delta f depends on the sign of. So you can actually determine using eigenvalue also, but since we have not discussed them, so I will not discuss using eigenvalue. I will just go to the theorem part. So these are actually repetitive things. I will not discuss in detail the theory. I will just for your sake of convenience, I have just put it in the slides. So next, put question number. So this is actually sufficient condition for a function to have extrema. So just notation, we will throughout we will use this notation: r equal to fxx, s equal to the mixed derivative fxy, and t is equal to fyy. So let a function fxy be continuous and have continuous and second order partial derivatives at a point. If P point AB is a critical point, then the point P is a point of local maximum. If RT minus S square is greater than 0 but R less than 0, if both greater than 0, then local minimum, and if RT minus S square is less than 0, then it is saddle point. Then it is saddle point, and the test fails if RT minus S square equal to 0. So then you need to do some another method to check which is actually the minimum or which one is actually the maximum point. So just read with me. So the function RT minus S square, so if RT minus S square is less than 0 at the point, first of all the point should be a stationary point, okay, critical points, that is actually the case. So fx, so first of all fx and fy, they vanish at the point, right? So RT minus S square is less than 0. This is actually for saddle point. RT minus S square greater than 0, both greater than 0, then minimum, and R is less than 0, then it is maximum. So this is actually I have written working rules for investigating local extrema. I am just keeping this slide for quite a few time. You just try to digest whatever I have written in the slide. Okay, I hope that you have already read this problem thing. So next I will just solve a few problems. Example, find all critical points of fxy equal to x cube minus 6y square minus 8y square. So how to determine x cube minus 6x square minus 8x square, the critical points. So the critical points is fx equals to 0 and fy equals to 0. They will give you the critical points. So what are those critical points? 0, 0 and 4, 0. If you just take fx, you will get 3x square minus 12x. 3x square minus 12x you solve, you will get x equals to 0, x equal to 4. Fy equal to 0, fy equal to 0 will give you minus 16y equal to 0. So y equals to 0. So that gonna give you 0, 0 and 4, 0. Now you need to determine the values of r, s, t. So just fxx is equal to minus 6x square minus 12. 6x square minus 12. So 6x square minus 12 at 0, 0, r is equal to r less than 0. So r less than 0 implies 0, 0 r. So first you need to determine rt minus s square. So if you just determine a is gonna give you 0, 0 because there is no term involving x into y. So if you take derivative and then take derivative with respect to y, you're gonna have for the both the points you're gonna have 0, 0. Now t is equal to dot to f dot to dot y square, and if you determine them, you for both the points you're gonna have minus 16. So rt minus s square is actually 192 minus 192. So this is the point of local maxima and this is the point of local minima, sorry, local maximum, and this is actually the saddle point, right? So the 4, 0, this is actually the saddle point. So how to prove is 4, 0. Oh, it is not like plotted up to that point. Okay, 4, 0. This is actually the saddle. No, sorry. 0, 0. Here there is the local maxima 0, 0. And 4, 0. If you 4, 0, y equal to 0 and x equals to 4. In this side I think there was. If you just draw, you can get the entire figure. There is actually one saddle point. So rt minus s square. This is greater than for this. And r is less than, so that is actually local maximum, and here rt minus s square is negative, so this is actually a saddle point. Next, same problem, same sort of problem. Y square plus x square y plus x power 4. So first you need to determine the stationary points, and then you need to determine the whether the stationary point is actually an equilibrium, stationary point is actually a point of local maxima or minima. Okay, so that is you have to prove. So how to prove? So first of all, the test actually fails here, because here if you just calculate the stationary point is only 0, 0, and if you calculate the rt minus s square, then rt minus s square equals to 0. So here how to prove? So here the increment delta f is f of 0 plus h, 0 plus k minus f of 0, 0, that is k square plus h square k plus h to power 4. Now this thing you try to write in terms of like addition of square terms. Addition of square terms, if you write it, so what you will get? You will get it to be k h square plus k by 2 whole square plus 3 by 4 k square, and that is actually will give you square of sum of squares, and sum of squares are always 0. So 0, 0 is a point of local minima. Next problem is also similar. So just discuss the local extrema of the function fxy equal to 2x की power 4 minus 3x square y plus y square. So these 0 0 sort of points will create problem, right? So first determine del f del x and del f del y. If you determine del f del x and del f del y, you will get this as 8x cube minus 6xy and fy as minus 3x square plus 2y. So these are the stationary points. So stationary points are 0 comma 0, and if you determine this RST, they actually will vanish. So RT minus s square is actually 0, so the test fails. Now once again determine delta f. This is, we will use the definition. So f of 0 plus h comma 0 plus k minus f 0 0, that is actually 2h की power 4 minus 3h square k plus k square. So if you take here, what you will do, you will do middle term factor. If you do middle term factor, you can write it as h square minus k into 2h square minus k. So for k less than whenever k less than 0, so this part, when h square greater than, when h square is greater than k, then this is actually positive, and when h square, say when h square less than k less than 2h square, then it is actually negative. So that's why this 0 0 is actually a saddle point, as you have existence of local you have existence of for k greater than, if k is greater than 2h square, then delta f is actually negative. K is greater than 2h. For this part, actually k is actually, you wanna have k to be positive. Sorry, for this part you will have negative, and if you have h square greater than k, then you will have it to be positive. So that's why the delta f function, it will be greater than 0 or not, it is actually depending upon h and k. So that's why 0 0 is a saddle point. You have like stable, like manifold of maxima as well as manifold of minima. For some restriction you wanna have delta f to be less than 0, and some restriction you can have also delta f greater than 0. Okay, next problem. So there is another method, that is called method of Lagrange's multiplier. So what we will use Lagrange's multiplier method, we want to find the maxima and minima of the function u equal to fxy. So you can actually use so what is actually our aim to determine Lagrange's multiplier method? I will not discuss entire theory. You can just go through the slide and you can understand it easily, and also Sarah has also discussed in the lecture. I am running out of time today. So what I gonna tell you, so what is Lagrange's method actually? So method of Lagrange's multiplier is, you have max comma min u equal to fxy. You need to determine maximum or minimum of u equal to fxy, and you have some constant. What is that constant? Constant means your variable x and y should satisfy some condition. So your constant be fxy equals to 0. Now you need to define, so under these circumstances, what will be the max and min value of u? So for this purpose you have to use the Lagrange's, you have to define an auxiliary function, fx comma y comma lambda equal to fxy plus lambda into fx phi xy. So now take derivative, fx equals to 0, you know fy equal to 0, and also f lambda equals to 0, and f lambda equals to 0 gives only phi equals to 0. So this from fx plus lambda phi x, there is 0, you will get the values of x and y. Then put those values of x and y. You have three unknowns, the x comma y for which this vanishes 0, and also the lambda which satisfies phi equal to 0. So this x and y, you will determine it in terms of lambda. So if you put them here, phi equal to 0, you gonna have x y in terms of lambda, and then you can determine the value of lambda. You just put it in the x and y, you will get relation between x and y, and then just you proceed as usual. So I will just using the method of Lagrange's multiplier, we obtain stationary points, candidates for extrema. We do not determine the nature of the stationary points. In practice, we usually are interested in finding max min values of the function under some given constant. Usually there are a few candidates, critical points, so we can evaluate if at all of them and choose the largest and smallest values. hence no further test is required if we wish to find only absolute maximum and minimum. So for example, find the absolute maximum and minimum values of fxy equal to x cube plus 3y square on the unit disk x square plus y square less than or equal to 0. Now along the boundary actually you gonna have the maximum or, so first we will use along the boundary. So this is actually the region, so we will discuss along the boundary, also along the interior. So you just read the problem, what I am trying to say, just digest it, and then I will discuss about the theoretical aspect. So here in this ellipse you have interior along as the boundary. So along the boundary x square plus y square, you need to solve this x square plus y square. You put x square plus y square. So x square plus y square equal to 1. So y square is equal to 1 minus x square. You put it here. Now how to determine the stationary points? Take df dx equals to 0. So if you take df dx, you will have x equals to 0 and x equals to 2 and x equals to 0 and x equal to 2 stationary points. And what will, because x square plus y square, this is less than 1, so you can only have x belonging from minus 1 to 1. So x equal to 2 is actually, you need to cancel this thing. So x equals to 0, and for this x equals to 0, if you put x equals to 0, you have 2 points. What are those 2 points? 0 1 and 0 minus 1, right? And similarly for y also you can determine like that. So you determine here, you have replaced x, y similarly you can replace x and also determine df dy. So you have 5 possible candidates of critical points: 0 0 0 1 0 minus 1 minus 1 0 and 1 0. You can also use Lagrange's method of multiply method, and there is no denying it. Okay, so just determine the maximum and the minimum values. So maximum and minimum values you have actually 0 3 3 minus 1 1. So you from here you actually determine. So for interior points there is actually less than you just del f del x and del f del y equal to 0. You just use it and determine which of the points are actually lying within this unit disk. Okay, and for the boundary part you need to just put and substitute one variable. That is it. Now you can also use Lagrange's method of multiplier. So x square plus y square, the condition is equal to 1, and this is x cube plus 3, and in the interior you have already determined the stationary point to be xy equals to 0. Now in the boundary you just put this condition x square plus y square equal to 1. So what is the Lagrange's auxiliary function? F of x comma y comma lambda equal to x cube plus 3y square plus lambda into x square plus y square minus 1. So del f del x is x into 3x plus 2 lambda, del f del y is y into 3 plus lambda, and f lambda is x square plus y square equal to 1. So from here on you get x equals to 0, y equals to 0, that you have already determined, and also you can get x equals to 0 and x equals to 0 and 3 lambda equal to minus 3, that part also you get, or here from here you can get y equal to 0 and 3x plus 2 lambda equals to 0. So if you just use those conditions, that x equal to 2 lambda by x equal to minus 2 lambda by 3 and lambda equal to minus 3, so lambda equal to minus 3. So that is how you can actually solution of this, as actually you will get lambda equal to y equal to 0 and lambda equal to minus 3, and if you just so lambda you get minus 3, and so here you get lambda equal to minus 3, here you put like if you get lambda equal to minus 3, you put it here. So lambda equal to minus 3 will give you minus 6, so x will give you 2, but x equal to 2 is not possible, as it cannot satisfy x square plus y square equal to 1. So the other is actually you get y equal to 0. So y equal to 0 will imply x equal to plus minus 1. Okay, x equal to plus minus 1, and similarly if you just take them up, so you're gonna have only candidates for extrema to be plus minus 1 comma 0 and 0 comma plus minus 1. So that is it for today. So I will discuss more on these topics in the next class. Thank you all.